this particular session we will be talking about that is the selection process and the application blank and the vetted application blank, then recruitment and selection practices in India, recruitment selection practices in Japan and in UK, then the conclusion on the different recruitment and selection practices, and also the a comprehensive end to end process of the recruitment we will be discussing. Then we will be having the standards for the selection test, then these interview process, types of interviews and interviewing mistakes are there. So, whenever we are talking about the selection, right. So, therefore, definitely in that case the you have to make the relevant qualification for these applicants to fill jobs in an organization selection, and it is much more than the just choosing the best candidate is there. So, therefore, it is the process which is becoming the very important. You may get the best candidates in the small numbers also, and you may get the better candidates when there is a large number also. So, it is an attempt to strike a happy balance between the what the applicant can and wants to do and what the organization requires is there. Now, whenever we are talking about the selection process, so therefore, first and foremost will be the resumes or CVs are there and the initial screening interview will be there. Now, these particular processes nowadays also taking care of the technology, and as a result of which these initial screening is done, and then they analyze the application blank is there. Application blank is like a professional or personal data form, and that is the which is giving you the complete information is filled by the candidate by himself, and because is conducting test, and there might be the psychometric test, there might be the numerical test, might be the aptitude test, and through this test there will be their fitness for that particular job will be evaluated. On the basis of that there will be the primary interview, and after this interview the departmental interview and the different organizations are having the different levels of interview. Maybe there may be the 1 level or 2 levels of interviews, in some organizations it can be the 4 to 5 levels of interviews can be there. If the every step has been cleared by the applicant, then in that case there will be the reference check will be there, and it has been asked and seen, that is who has given the reference and what reference has been given. So, on basis of that there will be the job offer or there might be the rejection. Then if it is the offer is to the next suitable candidates will be there. In the case the candidate is not has been accepted, and then there will be the medical examination, and finally the candidate will be applicant will be placed right for the position for which it has been advertised. Now, what are these application blanks are contents? So, these are the personal data, that is the address, gender, identification, marks, etc., or marital data, physical data, educational data, employment data is there about that is a past experience, promotions, when he has got the promotion, nature of duties, reasons for the leaving the previous job, salary drawn, etc., extracurricular activities data, that is the sports, games, NSS, NCC, or their prizes won, achievements, awards are there, or there are the certain habits or hobbies which is the leisure time activities which the person how he spends, and then there will be the references will be there, that is the name of the 2 or more people who certify that is the suitability of an applicant to the advertised position is there. Now, we will see the what are the practices in India. So, due to the meagerness of the education system, there is a shortage of the trained workforce, and there exist situations wherein jobs are limited and applicants are many. However, the government has taken these new steps, and accordingly the new education policy has been introduced in the education, and therefore, the education system now is developing the skills manpower as compared to the earlier system where the only knowledge workers without skills were produced. So, this particular education system now under the NEP of India, and here the most of these students through their educations they are developing the skills in addition to their knowledge is there. So, they are fit for the applications at doing the jobs at the different places. So, there are 2 sources of recruitment in India, namely the external source and internal sources, and internal source are generally used for the higher position and to motivate the workforce by giving them the better opportunities for the better deployment and to career development is there. The preference for the internal source is given because the internal source are first they have contributed already to the organization, they have done this particular work, and therefore, in that case this internal source that is becoming the more and more useful and practical, and also because of they have spent some time, they have performed well. So, they are also looking for the career into the organization, and that is why this internal storage that will be preferred as compared to the external source is also there. Now, for the external source there will be the cost will be also involved. So, therefore, if you find the right persons internally, then definitely in that case you will like to motivate the workforce, giving them these all the support and opportunities within the organization is there. While in external source of recruitment is usually to fill the entry level jobs are there, and at the senior positions you will prefer to have the internal candidates, those who have been already screened when they have entered into the organizations are there. Now, basically there are the 4 methods that are being adopted in India. One, first the direct method, indirect method, internal method, and the third party method is there. So, when we are talking about the direct method, so this method includes the campus interview, and the organization keeps unsolicited applications are there, and therefore, in that case the most of these institutes which are the leading institutes, we can say, they are having the different types of courses, and through these courses they are developing this particular manpower. While the indirect method is there, and this method includes advertisements in the newspaper, television, radio, journal, magazines, etc. is there. Nowadays, we have taken the example of LinkedIn in the previous session, like the social media, that is also making these particular solutions to the performance of the applicants, which can be observed and can be invited for the recruitment process. Internal method is it is a practice of the filling the vacancies from within the organization through transfers and promotions, and the information of these vacant position is communicated through the internal advertisements. All transfers and promotion decisions are taken by the management, and therefore, in that case these vacancies are filled up wherever the requirement recruitment is required, then that is available. Now, then the third party method is there, which includes the consultancy firms, head hunting services, and they use computerized the databases are there. So, this is having this is the consultancy firms are there, and head hunting services are there. So, these consultancy firms which are having these particular aspects, then there are the number of agencies, and those agencies will be working as a head hunting services, and they are usually having the computerized databases, and as per the requirement whatever they want, immediately they will get that particular information from their database. That is why nowadays this type of these practices have also started, that there is even though there is no vacancy, in that case also the applicants they keep on applying. So, in their databases the company keeps ready, and whenever this requires then, and at that time this database has been referred, and on basis of this there will be the recruitment process will start. Now, in companies also make use of their own websites, where the people nowadays this has become the most popular, that is the people they upload their CVs when they in applications form as per the need, and then the company can call the applicants for the interview whenever there is a vacancy is there. Furthermore, there are the special sites also meant for the recruitment purpose. The companies advertise the vacancies through these websites, which are the Naukri.com, monsterjobs.com, shine.com, timesjob.com, then the fresherworld.com, and etc. So, there are the number of the placement agencies and the print media that also helps in getting the job. So, the next best way is the advertisement in India, which is through the newspaper and magazines by the government of India, and this carries the details of the government jobs as well. And therefore, for the government job specially, there are the different newspapers are there, which are the known for this type of the advertisements, and the people are working for this type of the advertisement and making the applications as an applicant for the new positions. Now, this is the making the, so far we have discussed about that what are the different processes are there. Now, in the written tests are being taken if the required for the position, which includes the aptitude test, personality test, etc. are there, and interviews are not structured, and many times the selection process is not clear to the candidate. So, normally in this case we will find that is the interviews they are not having this particular the structured way, or it is becoming very subjective, and when it is subjective for the candidates, it becomes difficult to work on that successfully on this particular interview, because it is total subjective, relative and the unstructured. So, the major problem in Indian selection process are the external influences, prejudices and gender biases, which is there most of the organizations are there. And so, the Indian companies usually avoid hiring unskilled labor as it would be as a permanent labor, as it would be liability for the organization, but nowadays due to the globalization they are hiring on the casual and contract basis. If they find that is the performance up to the mark, the workers can go to the next level and it retained in the organization as a permanent employee is there. So, therefore, this liability of the workers for the organization is nowadays, that is the they are identifying the number of ways, so that only selected and performers workers they can be appointed, and the workers those who are not performing they can be screened out. So, skilled workers are mostly students who are called the trainees hired through the campus interview and are on probation for 1 to 2 years and are absorbed if the organization is satisfied with the performance. Finally, the middle level and the top level managers are generally promoted from within the organization is there. So, now a trend is there, that is the from the middle to the top level positions, and there will be no recruitment from the outside, rather than the internal candidates they will be preferred, unless and until there is no choice from the internal candidate, then only the outside the middle and top management people have been normally offered. It has been found that is in Japan the grades human potential through the merit based higher education, so that the best talent goes to the organization. The process of selection differs from organization to organization, and the most common parameters are interview, personal skills, teamwork and interpersonal skills are there. Attitude is very much important in Japanese companies, and they believe in long term employment and lifetime career. For the regular employees, there are no written contracts according to the which they have to work. So, job security and loyalty is there among the employees are there. Here as we see, that is they themselves they have to work with the job security and loyalty, because there is no long term employment is there. So, to continue the earning, the employees them they are highly concerned with that loyalty and the job security factors. The most pervasive recruitment process in Japan is as follows. The graduates are recruited every year at about the same time, and the first announcements are made in early summers disclosing the number and the different types of the jobs available. The candidates applications, personal contacts, written exams, interviews and medical checks, finally decisions on acceptance and made in the fall and from the 1st April joining. So, therefore, they give the importance to the performance of the team, not to the performance of individual, and leading companies the Maruti Suzuki, Hitachi in India are very successful due to their unique system of the Japanese recruitment practices in India. So, the interviews are taken and conducted by the members of the HR department, and then 3 to 4 rounds of interviews take place. The qualification should match with the job requirement, and in some cases work experience also matters. They are giving importance to the older generation as the workforce is getting older and the percentage of employees under the age of 35 is decreasing. So, concept of the lifetime employment does not exist in the organization. Hence, there is a great difference in the HR practices across the countries, which prove that the culture plays a very significant role, and every country has their own style of conducting business. The policies and procedures of HRM vary from country to country because of the diversity in the workplace is there. So, we can say that is the different recruitment selection processes, the culture of the respective countries shapes the path in which the procedures and practices are undertaken. So, here is a very important quote you will see given by the Dr. Kalam, that is the love your job, but do not love your company, because you may not know when your company stops loving you, and therefore, it is a competency that becomes very very important at the workplace. So that your job can be continued. There are number of differences between the Asian and European workforces. While the workers in the Europe prefers to work independently, on the other hand Asian workers seek a sense of belongingness and feel more proud in their organizations than in their individual job is there. A comprehensive process when we talk about the recruitment and the selection. So, hiring only when you have an opening, having an ad hoc succession planning is there. So, normally the many organizations are having this type of practices. When there is a opening, then only they start working on the recruitment process, while they are having this the ad hoc the succession planning. So, by that time they will keep somebody else, maybe the on the deputation, maybe the on the basis of the requirement in the organization, they will shift one person to the another positions, overlooking the skills of your organizations will need in the future. So, therefore, organizations are overlooking this type of the requirements. So, these are indulging in the irrational optimism. So, what should be the best practices? So, best practices are the conducting the ongoing proactive analysis of the future needs of their manpower planning. If you are having the strong manpower planning, then definitely in that case you will be having the more requirement. Then the continually evaluating the pool of potential channels are there. So, it will be always there, that is the they will be evaluating the pool of those potential talents by asking them to apply on their portal, developing the rigorous forecast of talents needs, and therefore, in that case they will be always the forecasting will be there done for the those who are having the talented needs are required. Now, the implementation challenges is linking your talent plan to your strategic plan and incorporating inputs from HR professional into the strategic planning process is there. Now, specify the jobs is the another step where the relying on the generic is there and the competency models are existing. So, looking primarily for the charisma, general ability and the track record. This defines the specific demand of the job, specifying which skills and experiences are relevant for the job is there. So, ensuring a close dialogue between the HR and top management and building the upfront consensus among the key decision makers are done. Now, when we are talking about the best practices, therefore, it becomes the identifying the team where the candidates need the work and considering the how company culture and context affect the role. So, this is about the implementation of these particular changes, that is about the job requirement is there. Now, the third step is develop the pool. So, shortcuts in the developing the pool that is a very bad practice, now poor practice which is to be avoided, and the limiting the pool and the looking for the only external candidates or only internal candidates are there. So, therefore, there should not be a differentiation, and the best practices will be developing a large pool. As large pool will be there, better will be the selection, including the incidences and outsiders, both here, that is the inside and outsiders both will be considered. Consulting employees will be there, and this will be encouraging open discussion at the top about when and how to conduct the external talent searches are there, and therefore, as per the strategic planning there can be the better recruitment process will be there. Now, when we are talking about the integrate the newcomers, so assuming the new hires is the plug and play. So, therefore, this is a very difficult situation for the new employee, that is as soon as he joins he has been asked to perform. So, providing the inadequate support and mentoring may causes an employee's turnover. So, what is required? Like for the audit and review is there, hanging on to the bad hires, failing to review the higher practices and institutionalize the best one is there. Now, every organization should have their institutionalized practices. So, best practices will be the removing the bed hire within the 1 year, suppose by gaps into the recruitment process. If somebody has been appointed within 1 year, he should be said bye bye, and regularly reviewing the hiring practices, that is whether we are doing the right hiring or we are not doing the right hiring, and this can be judged by the identifying whether the person is doing that particular job efficiently or not. Here in the case of this implementation, the rewarding the mentors are there. So, therefore, if you are giving the learning opportunities using the veteran top performers as mentors, so mentors will be see, that is they are giving a regular task and positions for the performance. So, this will be the rewarding mentors are there, and the providing the adequate time, as it should not be the like plug and play, rather than there should be a proper timing has to be given, so that the employee gets the complete orientation about the organization. Institutionalize the audit and review, and the being willing to accept the mistakes, learn and move on is there, and therefore, in that case you will find that is that way the changes are implemented willingly, and the employees they are accepting that whatever they have to learn, and then the process will be move on. Now, we will talk about the selection tests. So, in the selection test, it is a intelligence test, aptitude test, personality test, achievement test, simulation test, assessment center, graphology test, integrity test, graphology, then the polygraph, and then the there. So, therefore, in that case you will find that is the there are these the different selection tests are there, and these tests are there that has to be performed while at the time of selection of the candidates. Now, the reliability, the ability of a selection tool to measure an attribute consistently. When a test is administered to the same individual repeatedly, he should get the approximately identical scores, and then that will be the reliability will be there, and the extent to which an instrument measures what it intends to measure in a typing test, validity measures a typist speed, and the accuracy is there. So, therefore, we have to also see the validity of that particular test, that for the job, like here it has been given the typing test as an example, and then whether it measures a typist speed and accuracy or not. When we are talking about the suitability, a test must fit the nature of the group on which it is applied. Usefulness, exclusive reliance on any single test should be avoided, and the standardization norms for the finalizing the test score should be established qualified people. Test demand a high level of the professional skills are there. If the employee is applicant is having that particular performance, which is having going through the different this type of the test, and therefore, he is able to develop the high level of professional test is there. After this screening, there will be the interview, and interview is an art of involves a number of sequential steps, which are adequate preparation, proper reception, democratic exchange of information, termination of interviews in an appropriate manner, and objective evaluation of responses, records and other relevant facts. So, this will be requiring the preparation, reception, information exchange, and the termination will be there. Now, the interviews can be the non-directive interviews, directive or structured interview, and the situational interviews. So, non-directive interviews, the recruiter asks questions as they come to the mind, and therefore, there is no structured interview is there, but the directive or structured interviews are the recruiter uses a predetermined set of questions that are clearly job related, and the situational interview are the recruiter presents a hypothetical incident and asks the candidate to respond is there. So, there will be a situational interview will be there. So, therefore, in that case the interview can be the any type of where the organizations have the different style of these interview methods. So, this behavior at interview, and the focus here is on actual work related incidents, and the applicant is supposed to reveal what he or she did in a given situation. So, here in this case a situation will be given, that is the what will be the reaction, for here the training techniques or the method of the selection that can be like a in basket game, and in basket game means there will be a problem, and from the basket he has to find out that is which solution will be better one will be the solution will be there. Stress interview is the recruiter attempts to find how applicants would respond to the aggressive, embarrassing and the rules and insulting questions are there, and therefore, in that case it will be the type of these the stressful situation will be created and the person is required to help that is how he will come out that applicant from these particular stress situations. The panel interview will be there. So, there are 4 interviewers pose questions to the applicant and examine the suitability of the candidates is there. Now, there can be the certain mistakes in the interviews. So, this can be the snap judgments, deciding the applicant suitability quickly based on the early impression, leniency, the tendency to take employee high or excellent on all criteria, stereotyping, attributing characteristics to individuals based on their inclusion or membership in a particular group is there, or the biasness allowing is the rating to be the influenced by the personal likes and the dislikes are there. So, therefore, in that case by there might be the certain shortcuts in selection process by the interviewer about the snap judgment or the leniency or the stereotyping or the biasness is there. So, sometimes it is a shortcuts in judging others is that is about the halo effect, and that is a single important trait of a candidate affects the judgment of the rater, like the athletes makes the good salespeople. So, that perception. So, it will be a single perception and that will creating this particular impression, and that is why if the somebody writes the hobby or habit as an athletes, then that person may be selected for the good sales people without asking much questions. So, candidate order error, the order in which a later interviews candidate could influence rating sometimes, and therefore, in this case the interviewer he will identify that is the how the candidates are preferred. I would like to mention this particular research paper, the development of an expert system for effective selection and appointment of the jobs applicants in human resource management is there, and this paper has been in the industrial engineering, Iran University of Science and Technology is there. And here the summary is the study focuses on the development and implementation of an expert system to enhance the selection and appointment process within the human resource management, and this system is designed to optimize decision making regarding job applicant selection, appointment and other personnel operations by utilizing the artificial intelligence, specifically expert systems. It aims to provide the intelligence system to employees and streamline HR tasks like job rotation, training and determination based on the organizational and the job requirements are there. The objective of this research paper is to design an expert system, to create an expert system that aids in the making the informed decisions regarding the selection and appointment of job applicants and compatibility and organizational needs and job specifications are there. And there can be the optimization of the HRM process, that is to leverage the expert system for improving the various HRM operations, including like the job classification, recruitment and the personal evaluation is there. Enhanced decision making to provide a robust decision making for the HR managers, enabling a better selection, appointment and compensation of the decision based and the accurate data and the intelligent analysis is there. Then on here when the methodology in this paper has been used is the comparative analysis. The study begins with the comparison between the expert systems and operation research methods, highlighting the advantage of the expert systems in HRM. Knowledge based development is there, utilizes the knowledge engineering to create a rule based knowledge base, employing techniques like multidimensional scaling MDVs to identify key job personnel specifications. The model implementation detailing a step by step process by designing and implementing the expert system in HRM, including the identifying organizational needs, collecting data and developing the logical rules for the decision making is there. And then there will be the case study and the R&D organizations has been discussed. The finding of this particular research paper talks about that is the study demonstrate that expert system offers significant advantages over traditional operation research methods in HRM, particularly in decision support, learning and inference capabilities. Building a comprehensive knowledge base is crucial for the effective functioning of the expert system, with rule representation identified as a suitable technique for the HRM domain. The implementation success of this that is the application of this model within the R&D organization showcase the system's capability to handle various personal operations effectively, including the job training, workplace engagement and salary determination is there. This is all about that is the what we are talking about the selection and recruitment process in the one organization, where we will be having this type of this different following the processes for the selection of the candidates and taking the right candidate or the best candidate from the all the applicants. Thank you.